Hi, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to episode 2. Let's go about how to get to an 800 credit score. We're going to be talking about a lot of interesting topics here today, so definitely going to want to go ahead and stay tuned. We're going to be talking about do buy now, pay later loans help you build your credit and do they help you build it to an 800 credit score. And we're going to go ahead and be talking about, we're going to be looking at a credit report that has that type of loan and see the effect that it had on the guy's overall credit. Outside of that, we're going to be talking also how to build to an 800 credit score by looking at a credit report. And then lastly, we're going to go ahead and be reacting to a couple of videos or a video about some credit advice to be able to expose these fraud financial influence. So you definitely want to go ahead and stay tuned. Let's go ahead and jump into the first one, and that is to buy here, pay here, or buy
that you had
here, pay later loans help. All right, so I have a nice little graph for you. So essentially, what is a buy here, pay later type of loan? So essentially, it is when you buy and purchase things. Have you ever been on the website and you wanted to buy something and it gives you the option to buy it now and then make monthly payments on? That's essentially what I am talking about here. So essentially a short term pretty much allows you to do purchases like purchase clothes, gifts, home decors, airline tickets, and essentially those type of loans come with a little bit higher interest rate, and it helps you to be able to make those purchases immediately. So for the people that just want to know the information, do buy here's, pay here, pay later, help you build your credit? It depends. Got 'em. So essentially it depends, because it depends on how long your loan is. So if we know when it comes to building your credit, at least for FICO, payment history is the most important one. It's 35% of what determines what your credit score is. So it's very important for you to always be making your payments on time. So if you don't have as long of a installment loan, then it makes it really tough. I've been doing a lot of investigation on them, and just depending on how much, really it comes down to how much you are spending when you get the buy here, pay later type of loans. Because example, if you get a something that costs $500, they're not going to extend it for 3 years. They're going to be like, all right, let's knock this out in 5 months. Versus if you get something for $3,000, that'll go ahead and extend your payment history in the term of the loan, because you're gonna have 3 years to go ahead and pay it. So let's go ahead and hop into the pros here of essentially what is for the buy here, pay later. So the pros about it essentially helps you build payment history, which again, it is very important because it counts for 35% of your credit history through whichever credit score model it counts is the most important thing. And then the next is your credit mix. So your credit mix would be like, if you have a credit card, do you have a mortgage? Do you have maybe a home equity line of credit? Maybe you have an installment loan. That would be more credit mix. That's what that helps for you to have a different type of loan, which counts for about 10% of your credit, as you can see here. And we'll get into that a little bit more further. So yes, so as you can see, those are the pros that I went ahead personally myself and I wrote down for us that, where are the pros of it. All right, let's look at the cons. All right, here we go. Inquiries. We know how important those inquiries and not having too much, really honestly, from a loan application point. If you don't have more than 5, you'll definitely be fine. As the more you have, more than that, we start looking at it more of a little bit of concern of all those inquiries, but it can be a con if you already have too much inquiries because you're just adding more to the plate. Next one, it's unreliable payment history. So, like I said, payment history is very important when it comes to your credit, and just making sure that you have a long enough term to have a long established payment history. When it comes to the payment history, for me, I like to have anything that's at least a year will help you, as opposed to something that's 6 months or 3 months. That's not really going to do a lot. So, and essentially the loan amounts, from what I found, I couldn't find a lot that offer a lot of high, couldn't find retailers that I could buy something that costed a lot that you can do a buy here, pay, and then later. To pay later, I mean. So that can also be a con, because if you're just getting a lot of small ones, then that's just not going to help your credit, because again, having multiple 3 months doesn't really do anything, because once it's paid off, then you no longer have the payment history that's being reported to your credit. So making sure, again, if you're going to get it, make sure it's a big, decent amount. Make it worth it if you're trying to use it to build credit, honestly. If you're not trying to use it to build credit, then who cares, right? So let's go ahead and hop into the next one. Decreases your credit history. That is the pros and cons of, or not the pros and cons of, more of a double-edged sword that essentially helps you build payment history, but then once it falls out, it'll decrease it. So if you had it for 3 months, or maybe 4 or 5 months, then it's like, oh yeah, you have the new payment history reporting. And why? Because again, your credit does take into effect the open accounts that you do have when it comes to your credit. So making sure that you have something that's reporting relatively long, essentially like a credit card. Like a credit card, it won't close until you call and say, hey, I do want this card. Or maybe the bank or the financial institution will go ahead and close the credit card for you. You know, maybe it is for whatever reason they wanted, or maybe you've just been past due and they'll just close it. So, you know, it'll decrease your credit history, which again, that counts for about like 15% of your credit, as you can see here, again, which is very important when it comes to building that 800 credit score. So that's, you know, another con when it comes to that, because once it falls off, like, you need to get another one pretty much. And then the last one is that it increases your debt owed. When it comes to your credit score, essentially this is the second strongest factor. How much debt do you have out there when it comes to your credit? So going back to this awesome graph, see how it says 30%, how much is owed? So essentially, if you have, let's say like $30,000 in debt, and then you decide to get another like 500 or 1,000, that's going to increase how much you are owed, which again ends up affecting your credit, because then it's just showing that, okay, well, you have this new debt, you're taking a long time to pay it, which, you know, it's very counterintuitive when it comes to building your credit. And I'm just like, yeah, you know, I was like, you don't want to go ahead and risk anything to decrease your credit, because it's really tough to increase it unless you are listening to my videos. I am the guy that will get you there to have better credit. So essentially, those are essentially the pros. Building payment history and credit mix, and then these are the good cons when it comes to those buy here, pay later type installment loans. And essentially the key takeaway is, while short-term loans will help you in some degree increase your credit score, the long-term effect, it will not benefit, due to the loan terms offered that will determine how much you can borrow. Just like I talked about, depending on how much you're borrowing, if you're borrowing $500 versus $5,000, that payment history will work against you, and then it'll decrease your credit age, because no longer reporting, and then it's increasing your debt, like we just went ahead and went over. So yeah, so that's pretty much it when it comes to this. If you want to take a screenshot of this, I'll leave this here. But yeah, so that's my opinion when it comes to those buy here and pay here laters. Overall, I would stick away from them unless you're not going to rely on them to build credit. So let's go ahead and hop into a credit report that goes ahead and goes over a buy here pay later type of loan. So bam, let me get there. Okay, all right, so this is a loan from somebody. So one of these accounts may look very familiar right here. So right now, so this is a credit report that we look at as underwriters, or pretty much people that approve loans. This is what we see on our end. This is a system that just provides us with information. The information on the left here is essentially the name of the financial institution that gave the loan, when it opened, the last time it reported, what kind of loan it was, how much it was, and how long it was. This is their payment history. If they've ever missed payment histories, and you'll see them in other credit reports we review, you'll see information there showing that they missed payments and things like that. And then if there's one on here, I'll point it out. But essentially, yes. So over here we'll show their payment histories of how they've paid. I'll say this person paid perfect throughout the 3 months, which is what you're supposed to do. Again, 35% of your credit history is your payment history. I just gotta continue repeating this to you people. All right, so let's look at this first one. So Uplift opened in May of 2023, stopped reporting in October of 2023. So we only had it for 5 months for $108, most like a very low payment. So you see how, just having a 5-month payment history isn't going to go ahead and do anything. Here's another one, Uplift. Again, so essentially this one was February. It closed out in November. And then how do you know that? Right here, closed or paid account 0 balance. So essentially at a $325 one, which again, when it comes to like even trying to get an installment loan, how much you've borrowed in the past is very important. We look at that as loan underwriters to be determined how much we're even going to approve you if you come in asking for a personal loan or a signature loan or even a debt consolidation loan. So depending on how much unsecured you borrow can determine. That's a little side tip there, bonus tip for you guys. But let's get back into it. So you see how this one just has a short payment history. If this guy didn't have anything else on his credit here, as you can see, he has plenty, like his credit would be nowhere. He would have a low credit score because this only reported for 5 months. This one reported for 9 months, and that's all he has of credit. So you see how it's very important. If you're going to use these type of companies to build your credit, then you have to be able to use it smartly. So get something that's a little bit more bigger, maybe like a TV or some furniture, and be able to have that long payment history. Again, at least 1 year have the loan, so it can at least have some effect on your credit. So that's essentially a credit report going over how this buy here pay later loan affected, or how it's pretty much affected this person's credit, and how you can see that doesn't really do a lot of, because again, payment history is always key. You always gotta have as long history as possible in order for us to show us that you are worthy for credit as a criteria. There's many things that goes into it, and you'll be learning that on this channel. So if you're definitely learning, definitely hit the like, subscribe, share. Maybe someone else you might not, might need this advice, and I'm here for everybody. Let's go. And if you need some consultation, remember, I am here to go ahead and assist you. Let's go ahead and hop into this credit report that we were just looking at from the beginning. We're gonna go ahead and show you of how to build your credit to 800 by looking at this credit score. Okay, perfect. That's where I need it. All right. So essentially, as you can see right here, this person's at a 696 credit score. We know that's not good. He's shy of 700, which is not bad. But there could be some things that he can be doing better. So let's take a look at his credit. Let's see what is it that we can find, or I will find, to be able to help him increase his credit. So let's see. So right off the bat, his credit utilization, which is this line right here, is at 23%. That is very excellent. You always want to be between that 10 to 20% when it comes to your credit, because again, it takes account into, again, like I said, on the credit algorithm, amount owed is very important, and credit utilization is one of those, making sure that you do not exceed that 30%. So off top, what he's looking at so far, so great. Let's go ahead and continue and looking to see. Okay, so he had a mortgage, which is really great. He paid it off. He had it with Wells Fargo. That I've looked at so many of these, I understand what that is. And it's a mortgage. He paid it off. And essentially opened in April, closed in October, most likely to take advantage to get that low interest rate. All right, so let's see. So that's at least 10 years of history that he has had right there, but then it stopped. All right, so for the active ones, so right now he has 2023 recently opened, which this is most likely affecting his credit score because this is a new credit. There's a new loan that's reporting, and when you have new loans, what it does is it lowers your credit age. So for an example, let's say if you have 5 years worth of history and you grab a new loan, what that does is essentially lower your credit usage because now you have something that's repeating more recent. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, comment below and I will answer it more in depth for you. But that's essentially what is happening. So he got, let me see, he's had, let me see, in the last 3 months, he's opened 3 new cards, which will affect your credit age when it comes to your, credit score. So opening a lot of new accounts can affect you, and that's probably what's driving here. So let me see. So he's opened this in 2023, 2021, almost 3 years, recently new. So that's definitely what's killing his credit score. Let's see, another new account. So, and does he have any installment loans? Nope, these are still credit cards. These are all credit cards he's had. Here's a credit card that he's had for a long time. Again, he's at a 23% utilization, so definitely nothing for me to point out on here. Again, he has really low credit utilization. It's just he's just opened a lot of credit cards within a short period. I would say if you open something within like a year, multiple accounts within a year, you'll see it start affecting your credit score. So far we got credit age is affecting him. Let's see. Here's another recently new account here. So he has a lot of lines of credit. He probably has like over 50. I did not count this and definitely do not want to count this. Okay. Right here. These are his installment loans. Okay, his lack of installment loans also. It's very important to have installment loan. Again, it shows that credit mix, which again is very important when it's helping you build your credit. But again, depending on how high you, how much you borrow, it can affect it and decrease it. So it will be like working against you and not at the same time, which is very odd how they go ahead and do that. So essentially, we know so far what is affecting his credit score is pretty much, it's just his credit utilization and his credit age and lack of installment loans is essentially. And here's a key indicator that can go ahead and tell us also why his score is the way it is, which helps us indicate why or indicate how we can help him increase his credit. So, okay. So right here, he's had serious delinquency. So at some point, because again, we can't see, it looks like I didn't get that loan. That he had, and that's why it's very, very important to always have an accurate credit report. Yeah, I'm not seeing an account that he went past due. Most likely I didn't grab it or it's been too long. But at some point he did have a serious delinquency. That's normally pretty much when you go 30, 60, or even 90 days and and so on past due. That's that's contributing to why he has a low credit score. So it's going to take some time, depending on how long he's had it, for it to stop affecting his credit. The next one, we talked about it. Portion to balance to credit limits is too high. That is just referring to his credit utilization. The system, this FICO score 8, is indicating that his credit score is that low because his revolving utilization is too high. So maybe he needs to go ahead and bring this down to 10% in order to get there. And then here, so that was one I pointed out. But well, I did say his credit utilization is fine. So, but the system is saying it's not. And here it is. Length of time accounts have been established, which comes back to the recently new accounts. It has decreased his credit age, which again counts for your credit score. And then here, lack of recent installment loan. See, so it's wanting him to have that credit mix in an installment loan. And again, you don't need to get something that big when it comes to an installment loan. It can be just a $3,000 loan. Like what I like to suggest people to do, here's a hack that you probably never heard of. If you need installment loans to have that credit age mix and you can afford the monthly payments, what I do is take out a loan and pretty much pay it off 90%, or pretty much enough to have 2 years of monthly payments. So it's essentially just use that money to help you build credit. So let's say if you pay it down to $1,000 and that's all that you owe. So what's going to happen is that your credit score is going to take a dip because again you're adding new debt, which again counts for the second most important thing when it comes to your credit. But if you immediately pay it down 95%, it's going to reflect the next month and increase your credit. And then if you just have automatic payments with the money that's remaining for at least 2 years, you'll start increasing your payment history. So that's what I like to suggest people to do. So nice little hack for you people when it comes to that. And yeah, that's essentially it when it comes to this credit report. So if you are within the 696 and maybe within this type of situation, definitely by decreasing your utilization, having more installment loans, having a installment loan, and just letting those accounts get older is going to help you get to that 800 credit score. I told you I'm going to help you and get you there. That's why you gotta be on my page. Subscribe. Stop playing with me. Like, I'm a pro for a reason, baby. Look, huh? Shoot. Well, that's pretty much for that segment. The last segment we're gonna go ahead and start off is gonna be about looking at a couple of we're gonna be looking at a video to look at these financial influencers give you advice when it comes to building your credit. So let's go ahead and hop onto that video. All right, first one on the list, this guy, what is his name? Brian Chung. All right, so he's talking about how to instantly increase your credit score. Let's see if it's true. All right, this guy, let's see, what is the credit score first step? All right, we're just gonna move fast, so let's watch and see.
I'm gonna break it down super clear and easy for you all to understand. Going into number one, which is reviewing your credit report and submitting a dispute. So real quick, this here is what a lot of credit repair companies charge people hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to do, and it's for good reason. It turns out 66 million people, or at least 20% of Americans, have at least one error on one of their 3 different credit reports. Here in the US, those 3 credit reports are generally
He's starting off strong. That's every financial guru's thing. Dispute everything. That is like the go-to. What about the people that don't? You just pretty much skip over this step. All right, so far he's starting off a little shaky here. I'm like, okay, let's see what he got. Let's see what he got. Let's get back into it.
generated by the credit bureaus, and that's going to be Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. These scores all collect and interpret information differently, so you'll have to check each one of them for any potential error. Now, to do that, it's actually very simple. First of all, go to the website, show government home for any errors that you notice. This includes addresses, payment history, credit pulls, audit everything about your credit report, and make
addresses don't affect why your credit score is low. He's already starting off bad. Come on, man.
Hey, bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
Come on.
Make sure that things add up and that there aren't any mistakes. Look, even if you're paying your credit cards on time, because of the mistakes that these companies make, they could still damage your score. And all it takes from here is to then figure out what that is and then to file a dispute. To do that, you're first going to need to get documentation. So if a credit bureau is saying that you missed a payment account you closed as open, get the document that shows that the account was actually closed. This here will be the...
All right, let's go to step 2. All right, we know step 1. File a dispute.
This section here is rather simple, but it can make a huge difference. When it comes to maximizing your payment history, you want to be paying your balance.
Who told you about payment history? Who told you about... I told you about payment history. See, I'm on fire. See, I'm a genius. I'm a genius. I know.
Balances off in full every single month. To do this, start by setting up automatic payments on all of your credit cards and loans if they're not already turned on. If you have a mortgage, a car loan, a line of credit, and multiple credit cards, all it takes is one slip up to miss a payment. Now, automatic payments make it effortless and remove any potential for human error. Now, if you are purposely not turning on automatic payments because you have more bills than the income that you make, we'll talk a little bit more about what you can do in that situation in a few minutes. Regarding the topic of at least just staying on top of your current payments, the next step here is to then know what your deadlines are. So something I used to do way earlier on was to go into my Google Calendar and to at least input the notifications and set it monthly to remind me of the bureau. And this actually segues very well into point number 3, which is actually reports to the credit. From there, you want to go ahead and pay off the balance to your credit cards before it actually reports to the credit bureau. And this actually segues very well into point number 3, which is just keeping your overall utilization low. Now, this aspect here makes up 30% of your credit profile, and credit utilization is going to be the big...
Who also told you that? I told you that. Come on. He's just copying me at this point.
biggest portion, and simply put, this is just the amount of available your own credit score drastically. Now, on the off chance that your credit utilization is rather high, and this is because you can't pay your balance off in full, well, I got a solution for you going into step number 4, and that's simply just consolidating all of your debts. So if you're carrying a balance on your credit card, chances are you're paying some high interest debt, which can go up to even 20 to 30% or more. With rising interest rates from the federal government, you want to make sure that you're able to at least save the 20 to 30%, which can add up to be a significant amount. A lot of people
doing a debt consolidation isn't going to help you increase your credit score fast. What's going to happen is that you're just shifting one debt to another. It is going to decrease your utilization, but you're still going to owe the same amount. It's just you're going to be paying it for an installment loan. What you would rather do, instead of doing a debt consolidation, because again, this guy looks like a kid, what you need to go ahead and do is do a credit card balance transfer. Have you ever received those offers through the mail where it says 0% interest for 12 months if you transfer your balance? That is what I'm referring to. And when you do that, you need to ask for a higher line of credit, because essentially you're going to be shifting. Let's say if you owe $10,000, you're going to be shifting it now on over to a new credit card. And let's let you get approved for $15,000. So essentially what that happens is that now you have a cushion of an additional $5,000, which helps your overall credit utilization and your amounts owed. So definitely don't do a debt consolidation. I would say those are for me more for people that are actually trying to get out of debt and use it. But for for a step here to increase your credit, no. If you want to do that, it's better if you just do a balance transfer. Let's go to the next step here.
Smaller details here. Starting with credit age. This is going to make up 15% of your score. Now, it turns out one of the most common mistakes that people make is close.
Again, that doesn't help you increase your credit score fast. There's a reason that it's called a credit age for a reason. So in order for it to actually start helping your credit, you have to let it continue reporting for years before it actually starts being a positive. So again, here we go. And he tried. You give it a shot. He failed. Don't listen to that. Like, your credit age, like, if you get a credit card and you've had it for 3 months, that's not going to immensely increase your credit, because again, you've only had it for a short amount of time. You need to have it for a long time in order for it to really make effect. So whatever. This is what. Subscribe to me if you want the real details. Subscribe to my channel and I'll get you there. I can definitely promise you that.
Closing credit cards that they're not using. And the mindset is usually something like, oh, hard for inactivity. Now, going into step number 6, we've pretty much at this point broken down the factors that now make up the first 80% of your credit score. Now, what if I told you that simply by paying your bills off that you'd be paying off anyways, you'd be able to optimize those categories and increase your credit score further? Well, in this section, we actually had the honor of getting in touch with Stellarfy, who has a unique solution to also help you increase your own score. So Score. They do that, then make your Stellarfy to help you increase credit score and access to a full credit report to help you find areas to improve and correct. Stellarfy also helps to boost subscription. And with that being said, let's move on to step number 8. And this is going over your credit mix next. So your credit mix is going to make up 10%.
See? Credit mix. He's fine. He's back on track. He was like going down. Now
Of your profile. Back. And this is...
Shut up.
Shut up, bitch.
I'm talking here. He's went down and now he's going back up. See? Gotta mix that credit in order to build to get your credit. I can see that affecting and increasing your credit, because again, if you only had credit cards or lines of credit and now you just got an auto loan, now that immediately would diversify and help you increase your credit fast. I can definitely see that happening. Let's go to the 8th step here.
Going into step number 8, and this next one has a huge if attached to it. So if you need your score as high as possible, the last 10% of your score is made up by your new credit. This means when you get a hard pull on your account, you'll have a temporary drop in your credit score. And in a situation like this, I'd recommend you avoid opening new accounts, because new accounts will drop your score a bit in the short term, but
okay, out here, he dropping bars. That's what I'm talking about. Yep. See, not pulling your credit a lot, applying for a lot of loans. See, I'm not crazy. I know I'm not crazy. All right, let's see what else he got. Let's see what else this big head got.
Opening a new account. Next up is a simple step, but just always make sure you're monitoring your own credit. So I like to set email and text reminders from my credit card companies like
monitoring doesn't help you increase your credit score. For going by the title, he says how to instantly increase your credit score for beginners, or a beginner guide. That's not going to help you. What's going to help you is maintain your credit. You are able to see if maybe something was reported incorrectly or something new reported, maybe a new account opened. Like, that's the information that you will go ahead and see on your credit report. But, you know, just monitoring it, you aren't going to increase your credit fast. Look, he started off strong, dipped, went up. He's taking a slight dip. Let's see. This is the last step. Let's see.
Optimize from there. Now, if you've done all those things, here is the last method, and probably one of the most powerful ones, and this is called piggybacking. So when it comes to getting a score even as high as 850, this isn't about being the best in all the categories that we mentioned, but it's actually about time. So it turns out the longer you have a good report of credit, the better your score will be, and that's what's going to push you from 720 to the 850.
That's exactly what I said. Remember how he was talking about opening up a new debt consolidation. What is that going to do? Lower your credit. Your credit age. Again, you need to not open, if you're trying to get it increasingly fast, what essentially is, don't open up any new accounts. Actually, I'll talk about this later. Yeah.
Level. Now look, I get it. It's not easy waiting 5+ years for your credit to slowly climb up. So one technique that people utilize to fast track this aspect is piggybacking. To do this, find a close family member or
All right, we'll skip that. I know what it's talking about. Piggybacking is another word for credit authorization. Have you ever heard that term? If you haven't, I'll put essentially credit authorization is when you ask somebody that has really excellent credit. I'm talking about like 760 and up credit score to add you onto their credit card. Essentially, you're not going to be obligated to pay them. It's just showing that you are being reported under, which it helps you reflect. That is another efficient way to help you increase your credits fast. Have you ever done this maybe with your kids, or maybe if you just like co-signed on a loan? That's another way to be a piggyback. So let's see if you don't have the best credit and you find somebody to co-sign for a loan that they agree on. Essentially, that's another way that you can go ahead and piggyback. So overall, to get your credit score was not the best, but it wasn't the worst. I would say it was definitely average. There's a lot of what you hear out there. If you're definitely trying to increase your credit fast, what I would suggest is, again, he touched on a lot of those topics, so I'll try not to touch on them. But don't open new accounts. You'll lower your credit age and increase the amounts owed. Also, making sure never to miss your payments. When it comes to increasing your credit score fast, disputing is very important. If you fall into that something was reported wrong, the company said that, hey, you had a 30-day late payment, and it wasn't true, and you're able to get it overturned. That will help. Maybe a collection that's not true, because collections will hold you back. When it comes to that, I would also say paying off your collection, because the other thing is that if you had a whole bunch of accounts to go into collections, essentially paying off those collections will help. What do I mean by that? I know you've heard, essentially, do not pay off collections, but if you're trying to increase your credit, you need credit to build credit. So if you don't have anything else that's reporting positive, because you let everything go to the trash by stopping to pay it, then you're going to want to pay it off, so then you can apply somewhere else. You may not get approved immediately, because again, it was very recent, but essentially, I was like, at least when someone like me looks at your loan application to approve you, we'll be like, okay, he has a collection, but he paid it off he paid it off fast, which is very important to us, that you get these collections, because that will hold you back from getting certain loans. So yeah, that's pretty much it. What I would say, if you definitely want to increase your credit fast, and yeah, if you definitely found this video very entertaining, educational, and fun, go ahead and hit the like. If anything that you do not understand, please comment so I can help you. That is my goal of this channel, to be able to help people build their credit to the 800, or help them get to their credit goals. And again, book a consultation with me for me to help you build your credit. I'll have it in the description when it comes to my email, so you can go ahead and contact me. And again, if you're new to the channel, subscribe, share with somebody else that needs some help with their credit, and I'll see you guys on the next one.